Okay, now I'd like to watch these series that are period pieces, like Murdoch Mysteries and Call the Midwife. You know, I kept thinking Call the Midwife was also Canadian, like Murdoch Mysteries, but no, it's British. Yeah, Call the Midwife is British. And I don't know why I thought that, because, hello, where it's filmed and all. Oh well. But I don't know if it's my second time to go through these series or my third. I'm serious. I am one of those. I like to watch something that's comfortable. You know, I actually saw it just recently, after all these years. You know, I've been doing this, but just recently I saw some kind of article or something, and they were saying that a lot of people, or maybe it was on one of them, that people like to watch the same thing over and over because they know what to expect, and that is so true. You know, I try new series and such to watch them, and you know, you just don't know. You know, you're wasting your time, and I've never been much on watching TV anyway, so I'll go back and I'll watch them again. I mean, but I'm talking like, you know, I don't know how long later. Not immediately. I don't finish one and then start it all up again. No. But anyway, I'm making noise back here. I'm out in my SUV. And the reason you're seeing the trees is because I had one of those weird things about clip graphics and all that stuff. Yeah. Let's just move on from that kind of thing. But anyway, yeah, I'm making noise. I like to watch these period pieces. That's what they call them. I did not know that. I mean, every time we turn around, there's a new name for something. But one of them, the one Call the Midwife, I remember thinking that certainly any, to me, and I'm not giving anybody any kind of advice or suggestions or really anything, but I was thinking when I first started watching that you know, every woman that was going to have a baby, or just every woman, and I said everybody should watch that show called The Midwife. Well, no. Like I said, I don't give anybody any form of advice or anything like that. But for some people, it would be too traumatic to watch it. But for some people, you know, no, they understand what's going on. They you know, it's not like one of those gore, you know, what would I call it? Those shows that are for shock value. They're looking for shock value. This is just natural. What happens, you know, it's a story. It tells stories, love stories, all kinds of different stories of real life and everything back during that time, that period. And you know, what went on with medicine. It's very interesting. It's a story, and they add all the story to it. And plus, people, you know, women, not people, only women can have babies. So women having babies, and they show some of that. And it's not like that sterilized kind of show, you know, like you see a lot of the sterilized kind of shows. This one is stories. That's how I would never make it as a review person. But yeah, some stuff going on here. Once again, distracted. Okay. But anyway, so I like to watch these. And today, one of them that I was watching, one episode, I don't remember the title to it. And I don't think I'd watched this. Maybe I missed that year and didn't watch it and didn't go back and watch them or something. But it was a woman that had a baby, and then she got sick and her baby almost died. And it was basically, it seemed like it was that they were too hot. I won't spoil it, but that they were inside a place that was too warm. You know, their home. But anyway, one of the characters, I think it's her mother-in-law, says, you don't know what she says something like, you don't know what tough times really are about. You're spoiled rotten. Now, how many of us grew up, this is the reason it's on my mind. Now, how many of us grew up hearing that kind of thing? So you don't, you don't know what it's really like to live through hard times. And, okay, maybe at that point you didn't know what it was like to live through hard times. Seriously, it may have been that. And when you get older, you could say that yourself to somebody. You don't know what it's like to go through hard times. And I think, many people, it doesn't have to be hard times. It could be like 2020. I'm just going to say 2020. Many people that went through that, whatever was the situation for them. And before that, during like the times that were hard that I remember, were during the downsizing. That's what they call it, downsizing time. And what they call that, refer to it as now, who knows if things change. In my life, things have changed so often. It's like you have to know so many different words for one thing that used to be called in the past. There's a new term for it. Over and over and over again. So we know more than many when you get to a certain age. You know what I'm saying? So if we're forgetful a little bit, because it's changed quite a bit. It's not always, they're going senile, they have dementia. And many of us know it's not Alzheimer's or old timers, it's Alzheimer's. So get it straight. Watch me have mispronounced it. Because I am distracted. Do you hear that? They're mowing over there. Now, a point I want to get to on this, you're still going to hear them mowing and all. It's that, we should never compare ourselves to what somebody else had then. Yes, I watch that and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, having a baby was so difficult back then. A lot of them were home births. And, call the midwife. Okay, that's what it's about. And they were having them at home and so on and so forth. But it did seem like, in a way, during some parts, they had actually had it easier, maybe. I don't know. But also, there was part of it, I think, was before antibiotics. Can you imagine? Some of this stuff that has happened in the past, I know I was a career student at university. I'm talking over 20 years. And I took so many of these kinds of classes that, dealt with history, not in the same way as history, but think of it, period pieces. Okay. In a way, some of it, what happened during this, that. And some of it is still not in place. That we know that it wasn't that long ago that women didn't have this or that or the other. Like when they were having their babies. Or the whole time period that, this was in, I think, they called it, what was the name of the place? Poplar? But then they would say, I'm not aware of all the places where they are. I'm not even aware, in the UK and I don't know, England, or I'm not even aware of what they are here. So, in the United States and in Texas. Texas is huge. So, yeah. And I've lived in many places of Texas. But anyway, the things that people had and didn't have, and then they went through talking about, if a woman wanted to, I don't want to say that word on here, but chose not to have the baby and before a certain time, and how that was for them to go, the terminology they used, they could see butchers and backstreet butchers and stuff. And that, I think, is very important for anybody to know this kind of history, know what was going on. and how things have changed, and then they changed back. Okay. You know, I don't talk about stuff like that myself, but not in my area. But really, you know, I think that's important to know this kind of thing. But the whole thing of comparing ourselves, I keep trying to get to this, is you can't really, because so many things have changed. Like now, I mean, technology. This kind of stuff didn't exist when I was young. And then once I got into my 20s, there's a whole new world. You know, whole new world all of a sudden. And I mean, all of a sudden. And I was one of those people who had my first computer in 1982. So a lot of people didn't have a computer until, let's say, maybe around 2000, if not later. Okay. And so I was way, way ahead of it myself. And but anyway, this kind of stuff, what's going on now, what medication we have now, and then say 50 years from now, people are going to say the same thing. Oh, can you believe the women, the people, the men, the everything was so this backwards that they didn't even have this, you know, like a cure for cancer. They didn't even have that. Like, you know, how much easier it would be for somebody who had to have a hip replacement. One of my sisters, I don't think she had the hip replacement. I don't know. I am not kind of, but I purposefully am estranged from my family, my doing, me saying no. Okay. No. And but from what I understand, she had she broke her hip. Okay, and then she was in the hospital and she had rehab. That's basically what I know. And it was something stupid. Okay. But how all that could be different for people, you know. Who knows what 50 years from now, what are they going to have? So you can't really compare yourself. Plus, taking away from telling somebody you don't really know what tough is, it's just taken away from their experience. They're having a hard time, or, you know, they're having it rough and everything. And to basically just, so you don't have, you know, to say that, it's just to, you know, act as though they're not experiencing anything. But it really depends. I was inside thinking about this, that, you know, if you're somebody who thinks, oh, it's so tough, you know, that my parents aren't buying me a new cell phone this year. You know, like as if you have to have a new one every year. That's a totally different story. You know, if you think that's rough, we need to put up pay phones again and let you experience that, and take the cell phone away. No computers, no cell phones. Yeah. Just have a pay phone if you need one. Yeah. You're out and you're driving around and something happens, you have a flat, and your spare is, it's flat too. Yeah, try that. I remember one time when I was, before cell phones, yeah, I was, we had bought from my dad a used car for our second car, and we were driving it back. We were driving it from there. We had gone to visit, and then we bought it, and we were driving it back, which was a 7-hour trip. And it was nighttime, and Adam was in front of me, and I was following. Well, he was in front of me, yeah, and I was following him. And we had gotten off the highway, and then we got back on, or we were getting back on, and I was driving the new used one, and it died on the entrance to the highway, to this highway or interstate. And it was out in Texas, and way out in the boonies, and all that was beside it was woods, dark, Lights went out. It just died. It was probably, I don't even remember what it was now, but nothing was working. No lights, no flash. You couldn't put the flashers on, nothing. No lights above. It was just dark. And if somebody would have gone onto the highway, they might not have seen it and crashed into it. So I couldn't sit in it. I had to get out. And Adam was just, had gone on, And I'm there and I'm walking down the street, and all this on the other side, just woods. And I see way down the road a convenience store. And I'm walking on the, that service road, whatever you call them. Some people used to call them feeder roads. Yeah, okay. Frontage roads, whatever they call them. And like I said, names change so much. So I'm walking down that nighttime. This Bubba truck, I'm talking the old Bubba trucks, with I think 3 men in it, young guys. They come driving by me. What would be the term for it? Whooping and not whooping. What is it? Hooting and hollering. What is that old expression? They're just yelling out, woo woo, and all this kind of stuff. And I'm by myself, terrified. All that's around me is woods. Okay, and on the other side is the highway or interstate, whichever one it was. Pitch dark. Okay, what am I gonna do? So I'm trying to walk fast, and luckily, right at that moment, Adam came. He must have, seen that all of a sudden I was not there. So he turned around, off the highway, went around, came back, and luckily he did. Okay, there was no cell phone to call. There was no payphone even right there. I had to I was walking to the store to use one. I wasn't gonna be able to call him because he didn't have a cell phone either. And that wasn't the first time that was a scary time. The other one was we were driving from Florida to South Florida, around Fort Lauderdale, all the way up to Atlanta, in Georgia. And something happened. I was with his brother, his younger brother. He and I were driving, I think, my car, and Adam was driving our truck. And so different vehicles, and something happened to mine, and there was no way, there was no cell phone. Okay, there was no cell phone, so I could call him. And what I had to do was call my parents' house and tell them what was going on, hoping that Adam would call them to find out what was going wrong with me. That's how it worked. Seriously, we hadn't even decided it before then. But nowadays it's just, I hear about stuff like this. Okay, if they don't have the new cell phone this year, oh, such a tragedy. No, in that kind of thing, you can say, you don't know what rough is, what tough time is like. When you don't have your phone available. Okay, and you don't need a new cell phone every year. You really don't. Unless you have some kind of really wild job, that what would happen to your cell phone that you would need a new one every year? Really, seriously. I can't even imagine. I just can't. And I had my first cell phone so many years ago. Probably back in the 1990s, maybe 1990s. So I was one of the first then too. Adam's electrical engineering design, and he designed circuitry for cell phones back in the day. One of those. So anyway, people think people this age are so this and so that, so out of it, they don't know anything about. Really? Who do you think started this stuff up? Every time I hear that, I'm just like rolling my eyes. That's not something people should do. You know, and it could be of any age that's doing it. Any age, even my own. You know. Anyway, but still, there's some things you can say that to, but there's some things you really can't, because it's not going to be those times. It's not going to be those times again at all. But to totally just tell somebody that there are hardships, and the hardship is not having the current cell phone. I'm sorry, I am opinionated on that. But, you know, a true hardship is to say that they don't have it because they didn't experience the same thing you did, and something that was really rough. Yeah. That's not good. Anyway, wrapping this up.